Hello there! Recently I started watching The Walking Dead again after learning that the 11th and final season was now available on Netflix. If you're like me, you're probably surprised to learn that the show ended just last year, as The Walking Dead was at the peak of its popularity with season 5, which was over 8 years ago. But after 11 seasons, which were adapted from 193 comic books, which also led to spin-off shows, future movies, as well as video games, and tons of merch, there is still a question purposefully left unanswered, which is how did the zombie apocalypse from The Walking Dead even begin? But another, less important question a lot of people like to ponder is how would the zombie virus, such as the one shown in The Walking Dead, actually play out in real life? If you're new to this channel, well, welcome! This is Terry Duke speaking, and I usually do a lot of gaming content, but today I felt like doing something completely different. I did not watch any other video on this topic if they exist, so I would not get influenced. But yes, in a two-part video essay, I'm going to analyze the Walking Dead virus thoroughly and speculate on how it would really go down in real life. And I'm very serious about this. We're going to be looking at statistics, historical precedents of plagues, and social unrest. And so in the first part of this project, we're trying to set the stage for a real-life simulation. Say the Walking Dead virus starts right now. Where does it start? How fast does it spread? And what's the international response? For that, we need to first establish where the virus comes from, how it works, and how dangerous it actually is. Disclaimer though, I am not a scientist, nor a historian, or a sociologist. I'm just a nerd online with a lot of imagination. Also, spoilers, lots of them. From the shows, the comics, the games, everything Walking Dead related. So be aware in case you didn't watch everything and plan on doing it anyway. But if you find this entertaining and don't want to miss out on part 2 where the real stuff happens, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and let's begin. So firstly, what even is the Walking Dead virus, and how do we classify it as compared to real-life diseases? Well, first off, calling it a virus is a bit misleading. A virus refers to a very specific type of disease that has its own way of spreading, but diseases can spread through bacteria, or fungal spores, or parasites, or bioweapons. Yes, I'm listing plaguing disease types. I'm merely calling the Walking Dead disease a virus for simplification, but how does it really spread? What are its properties? Well, already trying to establish this makes the video more complicated because we have to choose which Walking Dead virus we're going with for the simulation. Currently, I would say there are 3 distinct versions of the Walking Dead virus: the version from the comics, the version from the AMC universe, as well as a secret one. For this simulation, I will be going with only one of those versions, so let's first walk through each version and explain why I'm choosing the version that I'm choosing. Starting with the comic books version, the origins of the virus are actually never revealed. That was very much intentional, as stated by creator Robert Kirkman, who explained many times that the narrative behind The Walking Dead was never about finding a cure, or understanding why things went the way they went. It was about the collapse of society and how it affects the characters. So for the comic book version, the origins of the virus are a complete mystery. For the AMC universe though, at least when it comes to the main TV show, the virus is also a mystery. The main difference is that in the show, the characters visit the CDC and get a few clues from a scientist on what the disease is, which is an event that never happens in the comics. Outside of this event, however, the AMC shows stuck to the mystery narrative for the rest of the series. Or they did anyway, until the spin-off show World Beyond, in which AMC strongly hinted at the virus coming in some capacity from a biolab in France. The fact that the Daryl spin-off show is also taking place in France is no coincidence. So in the AMC universe, officially, the origin of the virus come, let's safely assume, from a lab accident. Now, the secret origin is a funny one to say the least. This one officially came when comic creator Kirkman was asked about the origins of the virus on Twitter. His answer? Space spores. This was a joke obviously, which he quickly deleted soon afterwards. But the thing is, that was not the first time he made that joke. Apparently when he first pitched the idea to the publishers, he said zombies were created by aliens to weaken the world's infrastructure. But that was just a lie because the publishers felt zombies alone weren't exciting enough. But later, as another joke, issue 75 of The Walking Dead featured a non-canon ending where aliens actually invade Earth, with the surviving humans being enslaved to harvest water, which the aliens use as a currency. Yeah, I know. But those are basically our 3 possible origins for the virus: complete mystery, biolab accident, or space spores. Regardless of which version you go with though, they mostly all work the same. You get bit by a walker, you fall sick, you die, you come back as another walker. Also common across all versions is the very unique feature of the Walking Dead virus that makes it stand out in the zombie genre. It's the fact that everyone is infected regardless of whether or not they were bit, meaning that no matter how you die, you come back, assuming your brain isn't damaged. Getting bit in this context only ensures you die within a day or two instead of who knows how or when. So for this simulation, I'm going with my preferred theory, which does give some answers to these questions, and I know this is very stupid, but we're going to go with space spores. Let me explain why. Already for me personally, I love Kirkman's idea that the origins of the virus are never going to be found. So right off the bat, I don't like that AMC is trying this cliche biolab accident crap. But it's also very difficult to make a real-life simulation if you can't refer yourself to a clear starting point and have no clear understanding of how the virus works at all. However, up until that post-credit scene in World Beyond, there was no reason to reject the clues offered by Dr. Jenner either, from the main Walking Dead series. Kirkman was very much involved in the show's development at the time, and so there's no reason that the things revealed in this episode, which aren't much anyway, can't coexist with the virus from the comics. And so, let's actually talk about the CDC episode from The Walking Dead. In episode 6 of season 1, Rick and the gang are at the CDC looking for answers on what happened. We essentially learn that the CDC's understanding of the virus is so bad that we have no means of finding it.
You have no idea what it is, Steve.
It could be microbial, viral, parasitic, fungal.
Or the wrath of God?
There's that.
And ultimately, in contrast to what AMC did with Worlds Beyond, I don't believe the point of this episode was to plant seeds for future shows and movies, but rather it was to reinforce the hopelessness established by the comics. The only point of showing the CDC and a top-of-the-line scientist was precisely to show that the disease cannot be overcome, to indicate to the audience that The Walking Dead isn't going to be a show about finding a cure and saving the world. The zombie apocalypse? It's just the world now. And this brings me back to the space spores joke, because as ridiculous and unsatisfying as it can be, it's actually the most reasonable explanation. I mean, think about it. What kind of disease can infect the entire world? What kind of disease can be so advanced that none of the scientific and medical advancements ever made can even address it? But I'm not talking about actual aliens in spaceships either, literally just an alien microscopic organism that surpasses all of our scientific knowledge. For reference, think of The Invasion starring Nicole Kidman, where an alien disease starts taking over the minds of people and essentially take over the world in a quiet invasion. And so, this zombie space spore has the power to spread to every human being on the surface of the Earth in less than, what, a week? A month? Again, depending on which source material we use, the speed at which the Walking Dead virus took over the world varies wildly, and it all comes down to Rick, who is shown to be put in a coma while the world is still fine, and waking up when the world has already been destroyed. In the show, Rick is in a coma for about 2 months, but by the time the group meets Jenner, the letter says the virus was spotted over 6 months ago. This is reinforced by the spin-off show Fear the Walking Dead, which details the beginnings of the outbreak and the months leading up to Rick waking up. This also means that by the time Rick gets shot in the show, the outbreak was already ongoing for about 4 months, and took roughly 6 to destroy the world. With the comics though, it's much faster. The world is fine when Rick falls in a coma, and the world is utterly destroyed when he wakes up, barely a month later. According to Kirkman, by the time Rick wakes up, the walkers outnumber the humans by a ratio of 5,000 to 1. This is yet more evidence of alien space spores, by the way. There is no way a disease could appear and destroy the world this quickly, so it's either supernatural or extraterrestrial in nature. And so, that's the first major variable in the simulation. The virus will come from space, be far beyond our means to address it, and for the sake of being as chaotic as the comics, let's assume it will infect 99.9% of the world population within 48 hours. So let's talk about how dangerous the zombies of The Walking Dead would be in real life, because a lot of people will be quick to compare them to other zombie movies like 28 Days Later or World War Z, where the zombies are insane sprinters and the infected can turn in a matter of seconds. In contrast, the zombies from The Walking Dead can't even run. They're noisy, generally easy to spot, and unless the wounds from bites are so severe that the victim dies of blood loss, a single bite from a walker could take well over 24 hours to kill a person, and the reanimating process can take anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours. So considering all of this, and the fact that our heroes are often seen killing walkers with ease, and the ones who die often do so very stupidly, it can't be that hard to survive against walkers, right? Even if they start showing up everywhere at once, they can easily be contained, right? Wrong. Let's actually debunk this notion that walkers are easy zombies to deal with in the Walking Dead universe. Speaking from personal experience, I know, bear with me, I went to the Walking Dead ride in Universal Studios in LA. The ride itself is okay, but the most interesting part was the fact that they had real actors in full makeup that would purposefully be stuck on the path, and these actors' only job was to pretend to try and grab at you. And guys, I'm 5'5", and the walker in front of me that tried to grab me was over 6 feet tall, and being put in that situation gave me a clear perspective on this issue, and it's that if a walker of that size actually manages to grab me, they're not letting go. To further this theory, I asked my stepson to do a simple test. I would grab him by the arm, and all he had to do was yank himself free. And it was actually pretty difficult. We reversed roles, and I also struggled, though that could be because he broke character. Now, of course, we told ourselves there would be no kicks and no punches, or the use of any weapon to fight off the walker. But even if we did, I must remind you that unlike us, walkers do not feel pain and have no sense of self-preservation. So essentially, anything less than a powerful strike on the skull will guarantee that the walker will stop coming at you. And God forbid, if there's more than one of them grabbing you, it's over. You may be able to run away from walkers, but fighting them head-on will still require a lot of strength and stamina that I suspect most people lack. Also not taken into account here is the massive element of surprise that walkers will initially have. Again, say the virus starts right now. As will be shown in the simulation, that means that people all over the globe in all circumstances will start reanimating and biting the first living person they come across. People in those situations will not be expecting the bite, and that goes into the other huge factors that favors the Walking Dead, and it's that only their brains can be destroyed. People getting assaulted by walkers that they do not yet know are walkers may initially punch and kick, or try to stab and shoot, but initially, nobody would understand that walkers cannot be resonated with, or that they don't feel pain and can only be killed by destroying the brain. And that's also not taking into account that headshots, especially if you're not trained in the use of guns, which most people aren't, are very difficult. And taking on walkers up close is a massive risk. Most people tend to forget, but it's pretty obvious why the characters in The Walking Dead don't start actively using knives and other weapons until Season 3, or why Rick in Season 2 had to divert and separate a measly 2 walkers to take them on quietly one by one. The risk of getting grabbed and bit is very real, and it will be some time for any humans in real life to get used to killing walkers up close. Many would die in the process, no matter how weak The Walking Dead appeared as compared to other zombies. There is only one critical variable left before heading into the simulation, and that is a pre-existing cultural understanding of zombies. In our world, the zombie genre is popular, but in the Walking Dead universe, according to Lauren Cohen, who played Maggie, the genre does not exist, which is why in the show they have many words to describe zombies, but zombie itself is not a word. But for the sake of this simulation, I will not take this variable into account. There are so many reasons for this, such as the fact that the zombie genre isn't actually all that widespread. Some people may have never seen those movies, others could have, but would still be in denial when it really happens. So really, I am not taking it into account because it's virtually impossible to empirically measure. Though we can all agree, having a pre-existing understanding of zombies would probably save lives in the long term. But again, you might know a zombie isn't a real person, but when faced with your zombie relative, who really knows if you'd truly be able to pull it off? But now, the stage is set. We have an alien disease that is about to infect the entire world. This disease far surpasses our scientific knowledge, so it cannot be cured or contained. And from there on out, anybody that dies anywhere in the world will reanimate and endanger the living around them. So how will this play out? Well, stay tuned for the next video to find out. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss it, and I'll see you again soon.